Hey guys, we are going to try to summarize together the different sounds that you may hear and the problems that are associated with heart valve disease. Keep in mind, if you are my human physiology students, you don't necessarily need all this information that I'm sharing with you, but it helps to understand the pathology when you are studying the physiology, right? So you can sometimes remember the physiological aspect just by remembering the pathology. So if we are to draw, and I have to apologize here, I'm using a mouse to draw. If we are to draw the cardiac chambers here, so we will have the left atrium, we'll have, let's do that in blue, we'll have right atrium, and then we will have left ventricle, and then we will have the right ventricle. Okay, and let's poke some holes here, and that will be our so here is the aortic valve, here is the mitral valve, here is the tricuspid valve, and I'm gonna pretend that the aorta is actually opening to the side, which is not true, and I'm also gonna pretend that the pulmonary artery is opening to the side, which is also not true, but we're gonna pretend it is, just for the drawing that we are making now. Okay, and so we're gonna have sticking out here will be our aorta, and sticking out on the other side here we will have the pulmonary artery. Okay, so these are the chambers. As you remember from the physiology and from basic biology, we have heart sounds, which sometimes is described as lumped up. And if we are to draw these heart sounds, it will be, we have the first heart sound, which is over here. And if you remember, that is due to the closure of the AV valves. What are the AV valves? We have the mitral valve on the left, and we have the tricuspid valve on the right. Yes, and that is due to the closure of these valves. As you remember also, there will be a gap during which the ventricles are continuing to contract, and therefore the pressure here is building up, right? So the pressure will keep building and building and building, and until you overcome the pressure inside the aorta on the left and inside the pulmonary artery on the right, and then the blood will go from the ventricles to the major arteries. Okay, but that will take some time, right, for this to happen, right? Then, as the ventricles start to relax, right, and that will be mediated by the repolarization of the ventricles, which is shown, if you remember, by the EKG as the T wave, right? And so, as this is happening, this relaxation is happening, the pressure inside the ventricles will drop, and the blood inside the aorta on the left and inside the pulmonary artery on the right will try to come back into the ventricles, and that is going to be prevented because we have a valve here and a valve there. We have the aortic valve and the pulmonary valve. Both of them will close, and as they close, they produce to you the second heart sound, right? So the first heart sound is produced by the closure of the AV valves. The second heart sound is produced by the closure of the semilunar, right? Good. As it closes, the pressure still continues to go down, right? And the ventricles. Still, we haven't opened those valves yet, right? So if you remember, this is a phase during which the ventricles are relaxed, but there is no blood coming in and there is no blood coming out, and we call that isovolumetric relaxation phase, right? And so the pressure can keep going down, 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 till the pressure inside the atria exceeds the pressure inside the ventricles, and therefore there will be rapid ventricular filling. And the ventricular filling is going to be passive. It's not aided by contraction of the atria, but the passage of the blood in physiological situation, you're not going to hear it, but in pathological, you may be able to hear it, and we'll describe some of the pathologies. But if you have an ultrasound or a very sensitive stethoscope, you may be able to detect a third heart sound, a very faint heart sound. And that third heart sound is due to the passage of the blood from the atria to the ventricles, right? This is the passive passage of the blood, right? Not active. And then later on, if you remember from the physiology again, that the atria will contract, and by the contraction of the atria, you are going to generate some more blood passing through. You're going to push more blood passing through those valves into the ventricles. The passage of this additional blood into the ventricles is going to also produce to you another faint heart sound, and that will be the fourth one. So both the third and the fourth is the passage of the blood through the AV valves, but you have one of them is the third is due to passive passage of the blood from the atria to the ventricles, whereas the fourth heart sound is due to the passage of blood also from the atria to the ventricles, but due to active contraction of the atria. Okay, so this is the normal heart sounds that we studied together. What I will do now is we will take one at a time, one of those valves at a time, and we will see what can go wrong with valvular diseases. And we will start together with the mitral valve, and then we will work our way into the aortic. And once we cover those, these are the more complicated ones because they will involve also the lungs. Once we cover those, then it will be very easy for you to appreciate what are the changes that we can expect that we will see on the tricuspid valve and on the pulmonary valve. So please join me in the second part of this. This was the normal physiology, and the second part of this we will talk about one valve at the time, talking about mitral stenosis, mitral incompetence, aortic stenosis, aortic incompetence, tricuspid stenosis, tricuspid incompetence, and pulmonary stenosis, pulmonary incompetence. So join me in the parts that follow this one in understanding those other heart sounds, abnormal heart sounds, and the valvular diseases as we go forward with this chapter.